Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, we're about to start February. And this week in particular, there's a lot of stuff going on. Actually, a whole lot of stuff going on. So, how should we get ready as a Bitcoin holder? Well, let's discuss what's going on and decide what Bitcoin is going to do. So, thanks for tuning in. Oops. Get ready as a Bitcoin holder. Oh, I'm sorry. My thing was screwed up there with echo. I'm sorry. Well, let me start again. February is around the corner. Big week this coming week. There's a lot of events going on. So let's discuss what's going on with Bitcoin, what's going on with the markets, what should we do as a Bitcoin holder, and let's do this. Thanks for tuning in. 2 streams almost every day. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell, follow me on social media, and check out all the latest news, article, and guides at CryptosRUs.com. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I caught my sound issue, hopefully right away. I will try to edit that out later. But let's get started. And hopefully you guys enjoyed my last night's stream where I went into Decentraland and walked around and saw what it was all about. Right now I think there's not a whole lot, but there's definitely potential. So if you guys missed that, go ahead and check it out. I may be doing a different kind of stream every single Saturday night, since I did get some pretty good feedback about just basically showing what's out there and trying something new. So just throwing that out there. All right. So, to get started, Bitcoin is around 38,000, so it's still the same point as yesterday. It does seem like Bitcoin is slowly recovering like before. I've said this. But this week, there are a lot of stuff happening. So, we could definitely see a big volatile, many volatile swings left and right. So, let's start with this big swings in the market. Okay, so this is talking about CNBC is talking about all the earnings that are coming out. Okay, so this week, just like last week, there are a number of companies out there that are set to report. Now we know that last week really got carried by Apple. Apple had some spectacular numbers, and this week we have some big players too. For example, Google, and also Facebook, and also Amazon, and someone like PayPal, who is very vested in Bitcoin, is also reporting. Now, PayPal comes out with some spectacular numbers saying that the number of signups or number of Bitcoin buyers or number of merchants that started accepting crypto payments, if any of those numbers go up, more than expected, that will have effect on Bitcoin overall. But if you go through here, I mean, it's definitely an earnings week, so I highlighted some of the big players, but there are a lot. Tuesday is going to be Google, right? Are they going to have a good quarter just like Microsoft and Apple? And then also PayPal, again, Tuesday, so that will be important, something to look forward to. Something like AMD, right? Are they going to report their, GPU sales? How is that affected by mining, right? Ethereum miners are still cranking away, buying every single GPU there is. That's pretty significant. If they say, well, we're still doing fantastic and we can't have our cards up on the shelves for more than a minute because all the miners are still buying them. Well, that's pretty positive, right? And then you got other guys. You got GM, you got Ford, MicroStrategy. Hey, MicroStrategy is also reporting, right? What are they going to do? There are some controversies with SEC. SEC didn't like how they were reporting their Bitcoin holdings, specifically profits. So they didn't like that. So MicroStrategy is also reporting. Let's see what happens. That could be a big catalyst, depending on what they say, right? But I think we kind of know already because Bitcoin has been going down. So I don't think it's going to be that good for them. But, going down the list, there's a lot of companies Hey, Ferrari. Look at that symbol, race. I never knew Ferrari was a publicly traded company. And that's a terrific symbol, by the way. I didn't know that, but they're also reporting Facebook obviously will be a big thing. Now they're all in on decentral. I was going to say Decentraland. No, they're not all in Decentraland, but they're all in on metaverses, right? So how's the transition going? They may reveal some of their plans, right? Their forecast and what they plan on doing in 2022. So that could be a very important thing for crypto markets, depending on what they say. And then you go down the list. Thursday, you have a big tech giant like Amazon. Also, Activision Blizzard, which just sold to Microsoft, and partly because Microsoft wants to get into metaverses. Well, they're going to report too. So you have some big earning reports this coming week. So this is why there could be major swings in the equities market. But a lot of these companies now have exposure or indirectly related to Bitcoin and crypto. So we could definitely see some wild swings this week as well. Doesn't necessarily mean the wild swings will be bad. Could be good. And I do have some supporting thesis around that. Okay. So earnings, obviously, very, 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 very big. Also, economic reports are still going to be big. I just saw this, that Bank of England, ECB said that they were not going to raise rates for at least 2 years until 2024. But Bank of England decided to do it again. So they raised rates by 25 basis points in December, and now back-to-back in January, they're going to raise another 25 points. So this is the first time back-to-back since 2004. So obviously England, they're worried about inflation. They're trying to curb inflation, right? So that is what everyone is worried about still. So economic news is still important. And this week we have some big numbers again, just like last week. Employment report, unemployment report. These are very, very telling, because last month unemployment actually went down, right? Unemployment went down. That's because the labor force was unemployment went down, but labor force was still constrained, right? And that's the number one thing that Powell said he's looking at is the labor force. Everything he's doing is based on labor force and making sure that that remains strong and not weak, right? So whatever he's going to do, it depends on that. So this week we also have some big reports in terms of just, jobs and unemployment and all that stuff, the labor force, right? So that could also add to a lot of volatility this week. Could be good, could be bad. Right, again, right now we're kind of in that iffy period where some of the traders are viewing good news as bad news, and bad news as bad news, and good news and no news as good news. So it's a little weird, but we have that. But also this week, I just picked this up. Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy is doing what they did last year, which is Bitcoin for corporations. This is going to start Tuesday as well. So you can see there's a lot of stuff happening this week. This is why this is such an important week to kick off for February, because there are a lot of stuff. So Bitcoin corporations, obviously Michael and MicroStrategy is very, 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 very entwined with Bitcoin, holding $5+ billion worth of Bitcoin, right? So they're going to hold this conference and try to get other corporations to get involved. So it includes strategy, treasury, accounting, law, technology, trading, custody, payments, and banking. The biggest problem is accounting. And that is something that a lot of corporations are trying to work with FASB on fixing, because the accounting for holding Bitcoin is horrendous. Anytime it goes below what you bought it at, you have to report as a loss. Yet, if it goes above, you can't report it as a profit unless you sell it. This is one of the things that SEC does not like MicroStrategy doing, showing profits. So it's kind of like, it's just messed up, right? It puts so much risk on corporations to buy Bitcoin because of this accounting practice. So hopefully that does get resolved. But anyways, more exposure to Bitcoin, the better at this point, right? So Michael Saylor, let's see what he has in store and who he could track with this. So this is also coming this week. All right, so you have a lot of stuff. You have a lot of earnings. You still have Fed reports, right? Economic reports. You have Michael Saylor leading the way, right? But that's not all. That's not all. In terms of options expirations, it just so happens that there is a somewhat big options expiration on the 4th too, which is the Friday of this week. Normally, the big options expirations come at like the end of the month. But there is another one. How do I feel about Cybertruck? I do like Cybertruck. I wish I could get mine, but that has been pushed back until 2023 and probably pushed back in 2024. I think Cybertruck is going to be delayed vastly, just like the Roadster. It's not something that I think he really meant to scale. I think Elon is really concentrating on scaling what he has, which is the 3, the Y, the Y is fantastic, by the way, and then the S and the X, and the X is delayed severely for some reason. So I think the Cybertruck is going to be delayed indefinitely for a very long time. And same thing with the Roadster. I don't think we'll ever see the Roadster, actually. So just because someone asked. But anyway, so we also have the 4th thing we have is options expiration, and you could see. This is a different website that I normally use, but you could see some of the major expirations that are coming up, and there happens to be a pretty large one on February 4th. And you know what? What is the max pain for? I just had this up. Let's do February 4th. Here we go. Max pain on February 4th happens to be at 38,000. Which means we're at like 38,000, which means that all this volatility can mean nothing and we end up at 38,000 by the end of the week, right? It could mean that, or it could mean that we finally break through because not all these max pains have come true as of late. But you could see there are still some big numbers, big calls around 40,000 here, right? And some at 42,000 and here's one at 46,000. Can we finally break above 40,000 so that these guys could get paid? Well, we'll see, right? But max pain is generally, when you're looking at options expirations, max pain is usually a good number you could theorize that traders may try to get to because it caused the most wreckage on both sides. But let's see what happens. So we also do have a very significant, not major, but significant options expiration this week. So we gotta have a ton of stuff. Ton of stuff that's happening this very first week. Okay. So with that said, right, what do we do with all this information? How do we get ready for it? Well, obviously, I think the strategy is still the same. There's still a lot of fear out there, I know, right? People are still antsy about what's going on, but I think this week will be a really telling week based on all the things that are happening, especially since we know that Bitcoin right now is very correlated with tech, right? And there has been some wild swings based on traders selling off tech because in anticipation of rate hikes. But with the earnings this week, it could be, kind of a change almost, because last week we saw Microsoft report great earnings, Apple report great earnings, and traders flock back in. After selling off these stocks, they went back in, right? And this week, it would be the same thing. This week, though, we have some major Bitcoin-related or crypto-related projects like MicroStrategy and PayPal and AMD and Facebook and Activision, right? They have almost a direct correlation with crypto, so they could definitely swing the momentum back and drive things forward. So, I mean, this week I'd say it's definitely a hold week. If you're continuing to DCA, if you have been DCA, continue to do so. But this will be a very, very interesting week for sure. For sure. Okay. But you know what? I'm more bullish right now because of everything I've said and a couple other things. Number one is, if you are a technical analysis guy, you follow TA, you look at what's going on with Bitcoin on a daily and weekly time frame, you'll see that Bitcoin is oversold. It's oversold. You're using, if you used one of the most basic indicators, RSI, you'll realize that almost all time frames, Bitcoin is oversold. So this puts things into perspective on a weekly time frame. RSI has dropped to a level where basically it's the same point as if you go back all the way to 2020 when Bitcoin fell down to 3,800. There's definitely a trend line from that point to where we are, but RSI is close, very nearing bottom. And the last few times weekly RSI was that oversold, Bitcoin rallied up from 3,000, Bitcoin rallied up from 3,800, Bitcoin rallied up from now. So if you look at weekly, and same doing the daily RSI went below 30. And it's at the same point, you can see all the arrows every single time Bitcoin hit that point, that oversold, the really oversold point, that's when things came back up, right? So you combine that with everything's going on, this could be a good week for Bitcoin. And it could, in fact, be a great month for Bitcoin as things start coming back up from our low of 33,000. Okay. And also something that reassures this, or reassures you guys, is the fact that the third largest Bitcoin whale, in terms of all the addresses out there that's tracked right now, the third largest, who happens to have more Bitcoins than even Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, continues to buy, continues to DCA. Every single day, it seems like he's adding a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And it wasn't always like that. For a long period of time, he basically, or he or she, didn't do a whole lot of moves. But now, recently, this address has been ramping up in terms of the number of Bitcoins bought and being held right now. So there are some major whales out there that continue to just buy and buy and buy and buy and buy and buy and hodl. And this is the reason why the supply is decreasing and why the liquid supply of all Bitcoin continues to go up. So stay strong, my friends. Stay strong. All right, last few things. If you look at overall market cap, Bitcoin dominance, unfortunately, went up a little bit again. I think many traders, a lot of crypto guys, retail traders, are anticipating that Sundays are bad. So there's actually no reason why altcoins should have sold off from yesterday to today. Yesterday, Bitcoin dominance was around 41.8 or 41.6, climbed back up to 42,000. And you could see that Ethereum is having a better day today. Ethereum has been struggling as of late. Bitcoin is still the same point it was yesterday, but a lot of the altcoins just started selling off once again. No reason. Terra sold off another 3.something%. Polygon sold off another 3.something%. Avalanche went on down a percent. No reasons for that. Algorand and Near went down 3% from yesterday. Phantom down about 2%. I think people are just anticipating that today was going to be bad, so traders just decided to sell, right? But this is not time, right? If you held on, I mean, honestly, if you put things in perspective again, if you held on this long and you're now seeing that Bitcoin is starting to recover, why would you sell now? Why would you try to sell? Because the downside is a lot more limited than the upside at this point, right? So even from that perspective, even if you weren't a holder and you are a trader, just looking at it that way also doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I think that's what's happened right now, because sometimes, some of these weeks, Sundays have been a little bit weaker. So people are trying to anticipate that, right? Trying to sell off and trying to buy back in at a lower price. But you know what? Seeing how this week could be good, I don't know if that's a good idea. But of course, that's not financial advice. You got to control your own crypto, control how you trade or not trade or how you hold, right? But I believe long term, nothing beats investing. Nothing beats investors that are buying and holding for long haul, right? And that's what I'm doing. All right. Now, lastly, I want to give you guys a SundaeSwap update. Some of you guys have noticed that, or a Cardano update. SundaeSwap, last week there was definitely a lot of attention although it turned out to be a nothing burger. But you know what? Maybe it wasn't a nothing burger, because according to SundaeSwap, this is what happened. You have about 72 million total value locked in. So that's higher than expected. You have 300 active trading pools, 100% uptime, and no security issues. Now, while they recognize that congestion is still ongoing and it is an issue, they want to highlight that there are no downtime. Not like other chains where once they get congested, they go down, right? And they said that they're still trying to figure out how to squeeze as many transactions into a block, but you know, they're still dealing with that. And looking at, if you go to SundaeSwap and you look in their queue, right? The queue has come down a little bit. Yesterday when I checked, the Sunday to ADA queue was over 10,000. So it has come down a little bit. That obviously is the most active pair right now. A lot of these others don't even have a whole lot. So there you go. And then, you know, for Cardano fans, there is another DEX called Adax that's launching, but they're doing things differently. They actually have an order book that's provided by the users, and they almost look like they're a centralized exchange, right? So they definitely do things differently. And one of the advantages of Adax is they do have stablecoin pairings, which SundaeSwap do not, and the new DJED stablecoin will be coming up to Adax as well. But I'm pretty sure this will be coming to SundaeSwap, because this is kind of like the algorithmic stablecoin for the entire ecosystem of Cardano. So why wouldn't they partner up with all the DEXs out there, right? So this is also coming. So that's pretty much it. All right, guys. Now let's do some Q&A. All right, let me scroll up. I know there's some super chats that I missed. Let's see. Can you do research on STX, Alex, Go.io? The yield farming starting tomorrow. There, I'll look at it, but not right now. But there's a lot of yield farms that's coming out. So don't know. Don't know if some of these are going to make it, because there's quite frankly a lot of them. Jeffy Crypto says gold doesn't go down 50%, nor does it go up 50%, nor does it move at all. So I guess it depends on how you look at it. What is the lowest Ethereum will go this year? I mean, Ethereum actually sold off a lot more than some of the others recently. I mean, Ethereum dominance was above 20-something%. In fact, it was like 22%, I think, not too long ago, just a few months ago. So they've definitely lost a lot of dominance. But, you know, Bitcoin dominance is still around the same. So Ethereum lost more recently than some of even the other big caps, which is quite surprising. I don't know. I think that could be because, you know, we have heard of institutions now getting into Ethereum. Right, so we know a lot of these institutions and VCs, they may be selling off because they're fearful of what's to come, right? So it could be that they've sold off a lot of Ethereum, right? But I do think that Ethereum is definitely attractive to pick up right now under 3,000. Can you check out Alpha Zero's early sold? No, right now I'm not checking out these ultra low caps. Ernesto, appreciate that. DCA is the right way to go. Johnny says Hathor or Cadena. You guys know me. I like Cadena. And I'm glad to see that they're coming up. You know, they were like high 4s, low 5s. They have broken up into the 6s again. A lot of people have mentioned, and I looked it up, Adax is having their... Adax already released their browser wallet, which actually looks pretty good. So I'm glad to see there's one more wallet option. But also Adax is having their public sale soon. I think February 1st. And then they should be launching their DEX right after that. That could definitely help Cadena in a big way. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know what else. Let me see. Majestic asks, hey George, can you explain how Metaverse is any different than PlayStation Home back in 2008? I remember owning houses, community activities. Well, here's the thing. When PlayStation Home shut down, you lost everything, right? You lost your homes, your community, your maybe in-currency money. Decentraland is built on Ethereum. Everything is stored on a blockchain. Regardless, you own that. Unless Ethereum itself shuts down, that is, it's not really glued to the game, although of course it is. But you can take in-game elements and own it and sell it and trade it. That's a big difference, right? That's a big difference. And plus, brands are going to come in. It's a blank slate. Someone made an argument yesterday. They were like, oh, this is no different than the internet. And you think about it, when the internet first came out and people saw a bunch of web pages, they're like, so what? Who cares? I could read my newspaper online now. Who cares? What's the big deal, right? But the big deal is it's a start. It's a blank canvas of what can come. So that's the thing that I think people misunderstand is they look at right now, which is basically, just like a virtual world you could walk around, but you don't realize what can be done in there. And that's what a lot of brands are trying to figure out. A lot of companies are trying to figure out, right? So there are big fundamental differences. Elrond, Bobby says, Elrond Dex, January 31st, goes live for listing your tokens. That Dex was already live. I don't know what. So I guess anyone can list their tokens now. I mean, Mayor Dex was out for a while now. Can you share DeFi Kingdom results? Are you experiencing permanent loss? Did you pick the right pair? Making less today, about the same. It's still making the same amount. The APR went down a little bit, but ultimately, I am down because Jewel went down. That's the thing when you stake. Whatever rewards you get, if that rewarded token is going down, then obviously it's not going to make up for the APR. But if DeFi Kingdom's Jewel token comes back up, then everything that I've been mining, basically, or staking, the staking rewards, will come back up and make up for it. But right now, I calculated yesterday, I am down because Jewel has fallen quite drastically. Gary Vala, big super chat about the Shiba Army. Right now, I don't think you're going to find a lot of Shiba Army. There are a lot of hidden Sheep fans. I know that, but you just have to wait for their metaverse and wait for some more stuff to come. That's really it if you're a Shiba fan. Lewis had message retracted. Worrying about Biden saying crypto is a security threat. No, he didn't say that. That's just spreading FUD. No. He said crypto is national security, but he didn't say it was a threat. And I actually talked about that with Jeb, but I think people are trying to spread FUD about it. If you are the president, of course you should worry about what can be done, right, from foreign powers. If China and Russia, if they could utilize crypto in some way to harm your country, then of course you should take that seriously, right? That's how I view it. That you do need to look at it. You need to make sure that there's not improper stuff being done that's undermining your country. So I think people are taking it in the wrong context, but I may be wrong, and it's still early, but that's my stance on that. Can you explain how... Okay, I already talked about that. Can you clear up FUD around Luna? Okay, there's no FUD. There's no FUD. Whatever WonderFi, Abracadabra, Wonderland is doing is on their own. They happen to use Luna because they thought that's easy to use, but it has nothing to do with Terra or Luna. So don't try to put them together. I've already warned you guys about very high APR, APY, rebase projects, they don't end up good. They can't. It's just unsustainable. So whatever they're doing has nothing to do with Luna or Terra. MTMD, thank you. I did hit 600,000 subscribers, so thank you to everyone. What about Big Ada? I just talked about him. VeChain, still waiting for 2022 to waiting for them basically to come out with, not them themselves, but the ecosystem to present more DEXs and AMMs and basically DeFi projects, lending projects, and anything, right? Anything that relates to DeFi, it's gonna help them tremendously. Don't look at Tectonic. It's probably the latest meme / interest bearing project, and you will lose your money on it. So I'm not gonna look at it, and people should not be looking at it. People who are looking at it are the same people that lost money on Wonderland and is now bitching about it, because everyone tries to FOMO into the next project that promises to give crazy APY or promises to go up in value until it doesn't and dumps on everyone. So it is the next project to be like that. What? Can you look at Cumula Delta Index? And I don't even know what that is. I have no idea what you just said there. I don't know what that index is. All right, I think I caught up here finally. Okay, I caught up with all the super chats, although I answered them out of order. A lot of people talking about Sandbox being better than Decentraland, so I'm gonna have to take a look at it. Maybe this Saturday I'll spin it up and run it. I don't know if the alpha is still going though. I know they had alpha, but I don't know if they shut that down. All right, Juno, baby, I'm not even going to answer that. Let's see here. What's your thoughts on Storm X? I'm more bearish than bullish at this point. That project started out really, really strong. And then, one of my concerns was there was not enough users on there. I think they had a terrific start. You could stake in the app. You can earn rewards, right? But you couldn't buy StormX on their own DEX, which was on there. And they needed more users. So I don't think that's changed. And I don't think this relationship with Portland Trailblazers helped at all. This is what I was wondering, whether or not these crypto companies that partner up with a sports team, if you have unlimited money like Crypto.com, sure, right? But if you're a smaller project like StormX, partnering up with the Portland Trailblazers, I don't know if that actually did anything. I think it's just a waste of money. They could do better stuff with that money. But yeah. That buy, sell, hodl, buy and hodl. They're not exclusive. Let's see. Micah, appreciate it. Thoughts on XRP price after a lawsuit? Yeah, it'll go up. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. It's not going to dump after the lawsuit. Unless they lose, then yeah. But I think that is one of the reasons that's holding them down right now. Every coin is a rug pull. Life isn't real. There are a lot of people that really believe that now. There are a lot of people that really believe that we're living in a simulation. Elon believes it. What's that other astronomer? Neil Tyson? I don't know his last name, but famous astrologist. He also believes it. There's a lot of people that believe that we are living in a simulation right now. So all this stuff that we're doing with the metaverses, we're already in a metaverse. I mean, basically. And so I don't know. I don't know how you... Isn't he an astrologist or astrophysicist or something? Oh, I butchered his last name. I'm sorry. But yeah, you know, I just think it's very interesting, you know. It's like for hundreds of years, no one thought that the earth was flat. Everyone knew that the earth was round, and now you have this movement of flat earthers that think that the earth is flat. And now we have a group of people, some of the smartest people out there, that also says we're living in a simulation and this is not real. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of these things. Anyways, I'll let you guys go. Hey, big stuff. To sum up, there's some big stuff. Very, very big stuff that's happening this week, right? We're kicking off into February. Obviously, we did not have a good January. We did not have a good December. But maybe we're going to have a good February, right? It will be volatile. It definitely will be. There's a lot of stuff. If you missed it, scroll back. There's 4 major events that's happening this week, right? But ultimately, Bitcoin will continue to thrive, continue to move forward, right? But from a technical perspective, it is very oversold. So that's also very promising in short term. All right, guys, smash your like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.